Hi, I am Vicky Marchorro, one of the authors of the anthology Pebbles in the Pond, compiled by Christine Closer. I am very thankful for the work Christine is doing gathering us, and I am also thankful for the beautiful, powerful, loving community we have created. Before I begin sharing my chapter, I'd like to tell you that no matter what we go through, no matter how much pain, struggle, suffering, we can always get through to the other side and find our light in our true essence. My chapter is called Never Give Up, Keep the Vision. Immensely grateful I am for the gift of being able to breathe in planet Earth at this magnificent time. Hard, painful, and lonely has been the journey that I have had to travel to arrive at this moment. I now know there is a reason for everything we experience, even if we don't understand it. I was born with a hunger for knowledge and understanding of life in a tiny village in the East Region of Guatemala. At the time of my early life, it was hard to think of sending children to school, especially if those children were girls. We didn't have a school, and we were very isolated from the rest of society. It was beautiful to live surrounded by giant, majestic trees, sharing our space with wild and domestic animals, eating fresh harvest from the fields, and being able to contemplate the brightest sky I've ever seen. We didn't have electricity, therefore we could better appreciate the light from above. My mom says that I was always asking adults to write letters on paper as I wanted to draw them. She had been taught the basics of reading and writing, so when I was about to turn 7, given my eagerness to learn, she decided to teach me what she knew. She was amazed at how fast and easily I learned. She tells me she didn't have to repeat the lessons in order for me to grasp the meaning. When my dad realized I was a fast learner, he began to teach me as well. He had taught himself to read, write, and do basic math. He had never attended school. He was surprised as well at my capacity for learning, and he told my mom that I should go to school. Even though my mom had a lot of work to do, taking care of my 3 younger sisters and me, doing all the housework, making lunch and taking it to the field for my dad and other farmers who worked with him. She took me to and from school, which was about 2.5 miles away, every day. I've always been so grateful and filled with admiration for everything she has done, never complaining or even mentioning it. When I got to school, I was so excited to learn about new things, but this excitement didn't last long. Instead of learning new things, I felt I was going backwards. I was being taught dots and lines. I felt so sad and frustrated. When I told my mom I wasn't taught new things, she said that perhaps the next day would bring me new lessons. I kept waiting, but it ended up to be a long one, as things didn't change much. I became bored and frustrated. I did everything the teacher asked, as I didn't seem to have any other choice. After realizing that things wouldn't change, I decided to start reading books on my own, but I was always ahead of my classmates. I got along with everyone, but it was very hard for me to make close friends. I felt I didn't have a place in the world. The other children looked at me with a mixture of admiration and rejection. I became a very miserable and isolated child. I had only one friend, a beautiful friend, and she was 4 years older than me. She stood up when other children wanted to beat me up in any way she was aware of. I was always passionate about singing, writing, and acting, but the sadness I started to accumulate inside my heart also made me repress all of those gifts that I had inside. I was overweight, and my peers called me ugly, degrading, and humiliating names. I felt painfully rejected, and so I learned to reject myself. Since I was a lonely child, I found solace in writing. Pen and paper were my friends, but I wasn't supported in my writing efforts. One day when I was in second grade, my teacher asked us to write a composition for Mother's Day. Very excited, I did mine. And when I gave it to the teacher, the principal, who was standing next to her, asked her to see it. After reading it, she asked me from where I had taken it. When I told her that I had written it, she said I must have copied it from a book, as it was too good to have been written by me. It was a contest, and she took my composition out of it. I don't remember, but one of my aunts says that she recalls that I cried a lot after this rejection. All my years at elementary school were the same, with the exception of fourth grade. During that year, I felt I was at least learning some new things in math. My teacher wanted to push me ahead to the fifth grade, but the principal said the system didn't allow it. My other oasis in the desert I was living, beside the love and care of my mom, was our old small radio, from where I listened to children's stories every day. I learned to awaken my imagination and draw mental images from the stories I heard. This fed my faith and belief in dreams and in the power of thoughts and in the power of vision. I don't know if I used to believe in actual fairies, but I believe there is a magical power inside a human being. I also kept writing, but I never showed anyone my writings until I got to high school. When I began junior high school, we left the village and moved to town. It was the same sad story at school, and in my experience, every day seemed to get worse. I was crying all the time, and again, I was unable to make close friends. By this time, I had developed eating disorders from bulimia to anorexia, acne problems, and suffered from depression, asthma, and anxiety attacks. It seems I was always a natural consumer. People came to me for advice, but I felt nobody could understand me. I always wanted to help people ease their pain, but I didn't know what to do to ease mine. In senior high school, a teacher quit because he couldn't answer my questions, and another teacher asked me very often if what he was teaching was right. It was so frustrating that I think I gave up on school. I continued going only because I didn't seem to have any other option. My eating disorders worsened. I would go days without food and then stuff myself compulsively. Depression got so deep that there were days where I could hardly open my eyes. My mom took me to the doctor, who sent me to see a psychiatrist. He put me on antidepressants, and I had some sessions with him. I didn't understand why I had to take these pills to alleviate my emotional pain. I hated being dependent on them to keep me whole. I started an intensive inner healing on myself, first in a prayer group, then with self-help books and courses, meditation, visualization, relaxation techniques, and healers. I read every book I could find on forgiveness and inner healing. I had to learn that I am not a victim, that even though I might not be able to see it, I always have a choice. I had to learn that happiness is a choice and not something that comes in a package that we can get from someone or somewhere. I had to learn that if things don't seem to be happening, I can co-create them with the divine. I learned that I can choose my thoughts and my emotions and so create my reality. And many times I need to remind myself to never give up and always, always keep going, no matter what. In 1993, I got a scholarship from the US government to study there. I graduated in 1995, getting an associate in small business management and a certificate in bilingual marketing at Edmonds Community College in Linwood, Washington. While I was there, I kept taking therapies for my own healing and learned about other modalities. When I returned to Guatemala after 2 years of study, I opened an alternative therapist clinic in my hometown, Asunción Mita, where I have worked on physical and emotional healing. Throughout all these changes and healing, I still longed to sing and write. Finally, in 2008, I recorded my first CD with 10 of my own compositions, and now I sing professionally and I am writing about my experiences. I have had the opportunity to travel, maybe not about around the world yet, but I have enjoyed many trips to different places in the US, Europe, Central America, the Caribbean, and Egypt. The most important thing is now that my heart feels lighter and lighter every day. And I am grateful for every experience, every tear, every rejection, and for the courage to keep going. I thank the little girl inside of me that kept believing and visualizing herself free and happy. It has been a long journey, but now I can speak of it all with an open heart and without the emotional attachment that I used to in the past. Along the journey, I learned to heal myself and help others to do the same. And it's a joy to share my story with the world. And in my clinic, I do therapies to heal physical and emotional pain and improve the person's general well-being. Thank you for listening to my story from my heart to your heart. I also invite you to read the chapters and to listen to the chapters of my fellow pebbles, because each one has a beautiful, uplifting story to share with you. Thank you.